Good morning. We're going to do a quick video today just on the prep for tomorrow's paddle. I just thought I'd show you my gear, what we're going to take out tomorrow. Fairly basic paddle tomorrow, fairly calm, we're not going too far, just offshore. Sandy beach, right near the car park as well, so not much trekking to get there to get into the water. I'll show you the gear I'm going to take, and hopefully for you guys out there who are interested in kayaking, this is pretty basic stuff really, just to kind of get up and started. Stay safe, stay warm. Okay, to begin with, we've got our kayak, which is an ocean kayak. This is a Venus 11 kayak, it's an 11-foot kayak. It does fine for me, just for paddling out, not going too far. It's not a touring kayak. Perfect for doing a little bit of fishing, but also just for messing about in the water as well. So 13 foot there, we've got 3 compartments, so one on the front there, one in the middle, and then strapping in the back. We've got a seat here that just kind of connects in here and here. This is a sit on top kayak for those new kayakers, so it's not one that you sit inside of, you sit on top, so there's no spray deck with this kayak. We've got spare paddles connected to the front, main paddle connected to the side there as well. So fairly basic kayak. I got this one on Facebook for 200 quid, so nice and easy. Next, safety equipment, so PFD, so personal flotation device, fairly basic, cheap, yeah. PFD, perfect for what we're doing. And we have a VHS radio. Again, you can pick these up online, super cheap nowadays. You spend as much money as you want. This is a Cobra model, this is waterproof as well. And then I take a throw line as well, just out with me. We're kayaking tomorrow in the daytime, so no need for flares or anything else of that nature. This is sat on top of a waterproof backpack, so just keep everything nice and dry when we're kayaking tomorrow. Straps for the car, so that'll strap this to the car tomorrow. And then what we're going to wear is wet boots, so just neoprene wet boots. We've got rash vest, rash shorts, we've got some gloves there, neoprene gloves, and then I'm going to wear a 3mm wetsuit tomorrow. It's the 28th of December tomorrow, so pretty cold. It's 5 degrees at the minute, so not terribly cold, but this will be fine. So there we go, that's all the gear tomorrow. All set. It's an 8 o'clock tide in the morning. Wind isn't terrible. I'll give you a quick link to an app called Windy for those newbie kayakers, but fairly mild to moderate tomorrow, so should give us a good show. We're only going to go out for a couple of hours tomorrow. What we'll see tomorrow as well, this is a sit on top kayak as discussed. I'm going with Scott tomorrow, but he's coming in with his sit-in kayak, which have a spray deck, so I'll show you the difference between the two. Both got pros and cons. I prefer a sit on top because, like I say, I do a lot of fishing and stuff, so it's a little bit more maneuverable, and easy to get into different compartments when fishing and things like that. But again, we'll go through some of the pros within the sit-in kayak tomorrow as well. Okay, see you tomorrow morning. Good morning. So we're coming live from Cleethorpes beach this morning in North East Lincolnshire. It's probably, I think, about 8:10. High tide's not till 9:20 this morning. We're just waiting for sunrise, which is about 8:30, so in the next 10-15 minutes or so. Just see over the horizon there. We've just drove down to the beach. A lovely morning, wind's nice and calm. We've got all of our gear here ready to go, as we did in the video yesterday. Only addition here is helmet with the GoPro. All ready. We're just waiting for Scott to get down here this morning, and then I'll show you the difference between a sit on top kayak and a sit-in kayak with the spray deck. But yeah, really looking forward to this, guys. Lovely morning. No better place to be. Hey, so Scott's decided to join us. He's got a sit-in kayak. This is a dagger kayak. So as you can see, he's going to sit in this seated position here, and he has what's called a spray deck, which I'll show you in a minute, where he'll just jump in and he'll just put his spray deck all around this rim here, and that creates a waterproof seal. Just keeps the water out this main body. You can see, hollow all the way down. And the difference with this one is just sitting on top. This is Scott. Say hello, Scott.
Hello, whoever's watching.
Just putting his spray deck on. nicely sealed in. Scott is in, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, about 9.5, 10 foot. A dagger. Okay. Time to get into the drink. Okay guys, so switching to GoPro footage now. So it's a little shaky, so bear with, but it'll do to serve the purposes of what we're trying to achieve today just on this video. So just a recap, so we know what kit we've got. We found a good location to launch for. We've got someone to launch with, so nice and safe. We've checked windy. There's a bit more at the end of this video that will talk to you about windy in terms of how to use it, how to make sure that everything's okay before you actually set off, just in terms of wind conditions, weather conditions. And we're all ready to go, so we're just pushing off into the waves as it stands at the minute. So for those people that haven't kayaked before, we're going to hug the coast, so we're not going to go too far. Scott knows where we're going to go, so he knows the plan, I know the plan, and we're going to look out for each other just as we continue to kind of kayak down the coast. You'll see here Scott's spray deck's come off, so we're just pairing up just to kind of get the spray deck back on. Really key part of anything to do with kayaking is just look out for your mate. If you do go out by yourself, really key thing here is to make sure that someone knows where you're going. They know your route, know what time to expect you back as well. You've got your VHF radio in your pack, or if you haven't got a VHF radio, make sure that you've got your mobile phone stashed somewhere nice and waterproof, just in case if you do get into any trouble, then you can always call and someone can help or aid a rescue. But first time out, if it's a newbie, never done it before, baby steps. Don't go too far out, don't head off into the deep blue yonder and disappear over the horizon. Get used to your kayak, stay nice and close to the shore. It's deceptive, so where we're paddling at the minute, we're probably, I don't know what, 100 meters offshore, if that, but we're probably already in 15-20 foot of water, so already quite deep. So I know this because I've checked this location out ahead of time and at low tide, so I know what the channel looks like. So we're paddling right over the top of a gully as it stands at the minute. So take it nice and steady as well. We didn't really stretch off because, as you can see, it's fairly flat, calm out there as it stands at the minute. There's nothing there that's lumpy really. But if you know you're in for a bit of a rough ride and you're going out in something that's maybe a little bit more lumpy in terms of wave condition, stretch off. It's not easy work. You'll feel your shoulders start to burn after a certain amount of time. So give yourself a little bit of a break. It's not a race. One of the things to look out for here is changing conditions as well. So as you're paddling out, you might set off in really good, nice, calm conditions, but at any moment the wave, the wind, the tide condition can change. It's an ever-moving feast, so you have to just be really mindful and really wary of that. You'll see up a little bit further where we start to see the waves break over a sandbar that's over to the left hand side here, and what it actually does is cause quite a lot of turbulence in terms of the wave condition. On the way out it wasn't terrible actually, but on the way back in caused a bit of problem. So we're paddling as it stands at the minute with the tide, so the tide's coming in, so the tide is actually pushing from behind. The wind is only marginal, so it's not really doing anything to us. So at the minute as we're paddling out, fairly easy conditions, no real problem. The kayak I'm in, the sit on top kayak, it's the first time I've been out in this kayak, so it's really important just to kind of get your bearings with your kayak in terms of how much tolerance there is with it. So what I'm learning right here is actually that this kayak is it's got a bit of a lean to it, so it doesn't take a lot in terms of my weight shifting to actually roll the body of the kayak. So that means it's easy to flip, and we'll do a kayak rescue a little bit further on in the video. So if you do flip your kayak and you fall into the water, just in terms of how to remain calm and how to recover your position. Really important you understand these kind of things and drill it as well. So if you've never been on a kayak before, or you're new to the kayak that you're on, just stay fairly close into the shoreline and just flip your kayak, do it on purpose, and see how easy it is to actually just recover the position, but do it in a safe way, somewhere where you're not a million miles out of your depth, so it's easy to kind of swim into shore if you can't actually get back on. And always do it with other people as well, guys, really important. Have friends out there. The sea is unforgiving. We're on a estuary as it stands today, so just off Cleethorpes is the River Humber. So Scott and I are paddling down an estuary as it stands at the minute. They just go into the North Sea, but the direction Scott and I are paddling into at the minute is a bit of a horseshoe, bit of a crescent that kind of comes into kind of almost like a landlocked position. So sandbar to the left, to the right, and straight ahead. And you'll maybe see in the video, I don't know how good the GoPro footage is in terms to be able to see that detail, but yeah, quite unique feature actually in terms of the way that this estuary runs, but quite a nice little sheltered bay. So Scott's first time out on his kayak as well, so choosing a location like this is really key, just to make sure that you understand what your kayak is. You can see here how much I'm pushing the paddle into the water and understand the depth, so that paddle didn't touch the deck there. So I know I'm still paddling in probably 6 foot of water, if not a lot more. You'll see we're still fairly close to the shore as well. We're doing it on purpose, we're not taking any risks, just while we get used to our kayaks. If we do get into any trouble, we're literally a 2.5 minute, 5 minute at the most paddle just to kind of get back to shore. So even for someone like myself, I've been paddling many years. Every time I take out a new bit of kit or a new kayak, particularly going out with someone that's a little bit newer to paddling as well, I'll hug the shore. No need to be a hero at any point throughout any of this. It's all about taking measured risks while having fun out there as well. So there's no need to do anything that's risky or even to take yourself out your comfort zone. If you get into a position where you start to feel a bit uneasy or uncomfortable, if the wave position changes, for example, or if the wind comes in, or if it gets there's a weather condition like fog or anything that comes in, just take really early precautions. There's no shame in going back early or beaching it just for a little bit whilst you get your bearings again, just so you're in a better position to be able to relaunch or call it a day, go home, take your lessons and apply them next time when you go out for another paddle. Live to fight another day. Really crucial. So this is a really good kind of example really. So Scott and I have changed direction now, so we're heading back to the beach, and as you can see there, the tide, we're going against the tide as it stands at the minute, but because we're in that channel, the tide is now pulling us inshore, so it wants us to go inshore, so it's really hard to track straight. In circumstances like this, not much point in fighting it, you're gonna lose. So if that's where the tide wants to take you, then generally push off in that direction and just try and keep a bearing just in terms of your way back. We're heading back to the beach we launched from at this point in the paddle, so it just gives us a little bit more to think about when we're coming back, particularly when we go back some of these sandbars as well. You'll see in a little bit it starts to get a little bit lumpy as well, and when it starts to get lumpy and the tide's pulling you at the same time, it can make paddling a little bit more uncomfortable. No point during this paddle is there anything that would cause too much kind of an adverse paddling position. There's a couple occasions I think where it kind of bobs a little bit, but nothing major. But really, as a rule of thumb, if you're paddling and when you see the swell coming in, and if there is white crests, so the waves are kind of breaking but there's a white crest over the top, they're called white horses. So try and steer clear of paddling on those days, because it's not much fun for anyone. It'll just be bumpy and you'll bounce around out there and potentially risk falling off in some kind of rough conditions, particularly if you're by yourself. It's just not worth it, guys. So pick your days. Again, we'll use the we'll take you through a demonstration of the Windy app a little bit later on. Windy app's really good. It gives you kind of an hour by hour view of what it's what the sea's doing, what the weather condition is as well. So it just means it kind of keeps you safe, so you can plan your journey. So before this paddle out today, I was looking at what it looks like at 7 o'clock, what it looks like at 8 o'clock, what it looks like at 9 o'clock, and what it looks like at 10 o'clock. So I know there's fairly flat calm when we set off today, just about 8 o'clock, but I know by 10 o'clock that scale really starts to ramp up from the wind, and as soon as that starts to happen, particularly as the weather starts to come in with the rain as well, I know that's going to make for much rougher paddling conditions. So when planning this trip, I made sure that we're back at the mark in terms of being able to kind of beach and then recover our kayaks well in time before that really kind of hefty weather came in as well. Again, no point being a hero. Do what feels safe, do what feels right. You'll see Scott and I just now lining up to the beach. So Scott's going to go first. I'm going to flip at this point, just so I can show you what a recovery looks like. Here we go. So number one, stay calm. Hold your boat. Your boat is buoyant. The water will be cold 9 times out of 10, but just get your breath. Keep a good grip on the boat any way you can. So I've got a grip there just on one of the drainage holes. Got hold of my paddle in my other hand, just making sure I've got the paddle. I've got that spare paddle on the boat, but keeping hold of my primary paddle. So I've shouted Scott. I told Scott that I'm off, so he knows. And I'm going to flip the kayak. Number one, flip her over. They will move. So paddle over and anchor. Reach all the way over and pull your body weight into the middle of the kayak. Once you're there, try and slowly work your legs around. You might have to do this a few times, you might flip a few times, but don't rush, don't panic, because it is a tiring exercise. Legs back on, back in your seated position. The draining holds in a sit-on kayak will drain any of the water out as well. So as you start paddling, you'll start to move more into a recovered position in terms of all of that water. And when you're in that position, take a breath and paddle all the way back in. As soon as you're in the shallow, as soon as you start feeling the bottom of the boat touching, then at that point just jump out. So it'll become hard, or you'll flip in the wave as well. So as soon as you feel grounded, grab the bottom, out you get, and then drag it back in. That's one successful kayak, one successful paddle. Mini adventures, nothing big here, nothing risky, just enough just to kind of get a taste, get a feel for the kayak, make sure all the kit's there, everything's nicely stowed. Primary paddle strapped back on, secondary paddles on there, and I've got that dry bag on the back. And tip any excess water out. See, Scott's already out of his, so his spray deck's off. Scott's got a drainage hole in the end, and he'll just tip his kayak and drain out one end. Remember, that's hollow in the middle of Scott's kayak, so he'll just tip out that front end there, that little drainage hole, and then drag back up the beach. As the car's not too far away for us, we're able to just drag and carry all the way to the top of the beach. But for longer trips, you can get kayak trolleys. So it's just a little trolley that straps under the back end of the kayak, particularly if you're dragging over lots of rough ground, tarmac, that kind of stuff, so you don't scuff at the bottom of the boat. It's best to get a kayak trolley There's loads of different brands out there, just find the one that's right for you. I wouldn't scrimp and scrape too much though, because there's nothing like a pain in the arse of when they keep falling off as you're trying to drag it up the beach, particularly if you're tired anyway from the paddle. Always make sure you clear your kayak from the water as well. Don't leave it by there, particularly if the tide's still coming in as well, because your boat will float away and you won't have a boat to kayak off again. So here we go, that's the end of that adventure. Hope that's useful, guys. We're going to move on to a little bit of a demonstration of Windy. Again, we're going to use the Windy app that is online, so Google search for Windy. You can also get Windy as an Android app or an iPhone app on your phone. Works in exactly the same way. So there's no real difference, but just give you an idea. Planning is everything here, guys. Make sure you stay safe. Make sure you have a plan in place. Make sure people know where you are. Make sure you know where you're going. Make sure you understand the weather conditions, and make sure you've got all the right safety equipment. So let's have a look at Windy. So Google Windy, and it's the first link there. That'll bring up just the general Europe. So if you search for your specific location, so I'm going to put Cleethorpes in just based on where we've been today, and then that'll bring up that specific map. So you can see today we were working on a southerly, and you can see the different colours. So blue is a kind of real minor wind, green's getting a little bit stronger, then ambers, and then pinks is really strong wind. There's different options on the right hand side there in terms of the view you can have a look at, but as you can see here, you can see the direction of the wind, you can see the strength of the wind, and you can see where we set off today. So we set off there, and then we came out to the right hand side into the estuary and headed into the estuary mouth as we were kind of paddling out. So you can see the crosswind that was there the whole entire time for our paddle today, with that southerly. So it's coming from the south heading north, that makes it a southerly. So you see all the arrows are heading northerly, but that's a southerly wind because it's coming from the south and heading north. And you can see that there is wind speed and gust speed, so just be mindful of both. Really what you're looking for in Windy is either that white or that blue in terms of the wind speed and then the gust speed, or at the very most a blue to a green. When you start getting more into the ambers and the reds, they're pretty much no paddle days, unless you know something about your location, you know, you're very familiar with it, and you know the conditions that they're able to be paddled. But if you're new to paddling, then definitely just take precautions. Go see it low tide, go have a look at what everything looks like. But yeah, that's Windy. So thanks guys, thanks for joining us. Hope you found that really useful, and we'll catch you again for another video.